Okay. Hello, good afternoon, everyone, and we welcome to one more interesting session on the benefits of practicing Meipadam and how Meipadam affects some very important aspects in our life. Hi, Rupa. Good afternoon.
Hey Trisha, good to be here. Hi everyone. Yeah, like Trisha said, it's a very interesting and a very necessary topic which a lot of people are a bit not very clear about, and they normalize things which shouldn't be normalized. So we'll have an opportunity to talk about all of that today, I'm sure.
Yes. So you said, I mean, you started with exactly the correct thing, the right thing by saying that, we are normalizing things which are not normal, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, I get to speak to a lot of young women who are like in their 20s, 20, 25, 30, like that. And so, apart from various menstrual health problems, what has also become normal is that, having periods for like a couple of days, 1 day, 1.5 day, 2 days. So this happened like recently. I got to speak to some young girls, and it's like it has kind of become normal with this age of girls to have their menstrual cycle for just a couple of days or 1 to 2 days. And then of course apart from that we have other problems like PCOD, or even other issues like excessive bleeding. So what has been your experience, Rupa, with Maypadam and practice of Maypadam and menstrual health for women?
Yeah. So yeah, it's a unfortunate call of the times that people are sort of very sort of totally misunderstand what the periods are about and what is a normal period. So just to clarify that before we go on to how my pardon impacts it, is firstly there, because when I have my consultations with my clients, they say, yeah, I have the usual premenstrual symptoms. I said that the usual premenstrual symptoms don't exist. There should be zero premenstrual symptoms, and then I have to ask them and say, what is your experience, what do you go through, and how do you experience it? Honey, everybody has it. And I said, no, everybody shouldn't have it. That isn't normal. So that is a very massive misunderstanding that I often come across in my clients, is that you have a bad period, you will have period pains, you will feel horribly tired, you can't do anything at that point. You're like functionally totally down, and premenstrually, the build up a week before, you have meant to have back pain, you're meant to have all the mood swings and irritability, and you lose your thing at the drop of a hat, lose your mind. So all of that is not normal. That is the first thing I want to emphasize. That is abnormal. So these days the abnormality has been normalized. All of this is abnormal. So that is a hormonal imbalance which needs to be sorted out, and you will lose all of those symptoms. As for the period, it has to be a very smooth flow. I know we shouldn't exert ourselves during the period. When you're bleeding, you don't want to exert the body more than needed, but functionally you should be able to do everything and anything. You should be able to do your day-to-day routines, your basic work, whatever you do. You don't go and work out and climb the mountain on that day or around that period. But other than that, you should be able to do everything and anything. Tiredness is not normal. Or having very less bleeding or scanty bleeding for a day or a day and a half is not normal. Or having period for 5 days and 10 days and pouring it out is not normal. So all of these are abnormalities. You normally, a healthy period will be a seamless go through, no premenstrual symptoms. You start with a bit of spotting, and then slowly it builds up. You have a normal period, you'll have a heavy bleed for a day to 2 days max, a day and a half to 2 days max, and then it starts tapering down. You'll have mild bleeding for another day or two. Or the cycle should last overall from your spotting to zero blood is about 5 days. So actual, the intense flow is only about a day or two max. Otherwise, it is building up and then tapering down. So that is first the definition of a normal period, with nothing before, no other symptoms before, after, or during. Pain is not normal. Nothing during period is normal. You should be as normal as you would otherwise be, but you don't exert and, like I said, climb mountains on that day. That's about it. There should
Mm.
be otherwise no other restrictions. So having cleared that, then comes a hormonal imbalance. So any issues in your period or the premenstrual or during menstrual, symptoms of backache or whatever other tenderness you have and everything, is a sign of some level of imbalance. It could be different levels of it. PCOD is another level of imbalance, which again gives a ripple effect of a lot of other symptoms. The PCOD, again, everybody's PCOD is different. It's a syndrome. That's why they call it a syndrome. So not everybody has the same symptoms. People have it mild, medium, really bad, affecting your fertility and all the sorts. And it could be mild and people don't even know that they have PCOD. So it is a range. So people don't have to get worried, oh, I have PCOD and that's the end of the world. No. And all of them are treatable, and you can, with natural medicines and good diet and lifestyle, address it. Even if you don't completely reverse it, you can mitigate the symptoms of it. It becomes way more manageable. You work with it rather than, the idea is to not oust it. You balance the hormones, and that in effect will take away your issues and symptoms and treat whatever underlying issues you have. So that said, where my Meipadam comes in is again, we have no direct research studies or anything to show how my Meipadam helps manage or balance your hormones. But because, again, from the perspective of my Meipadam, it is more closer and more explainable through the ideas of nadis. So the Chinese medicine have their meridians in the body. Ayurveda has shrotas around the body. The Siddha, and they have the nadis, as we call it. And the concept is slightly different in each of the field, but the core idea is the same, that there are energy channels flowing head to toe all over your body. And when you say liver health, it is not liver health just onto the liver, but it has a systemic impact. Or a hormonal health is not just your uterus or your testicles, but it has body wise impact. So everything from affecting your mood to your physical functionality to no aches and pains, it has a systemic impact. So this sort of, the Western approach is much more reductionist and sort of focused, and sort of you want to bring it down to an organ. But
Yeah.
traditionally, we have never looked at it like that. Everything is connected to the rest of the system, and everything impacts the entire system. So when you have a hormonal imbalance issues, it does bring in other aspects of your thyroid being impacted, and impact your liver to some extent, your adrenals. So it has a ripple effect. So having said that, when we do Meipadam, and if you connect it to the 72,000 nadis that it is working with and influencing, because with Meipadam we are using head to toe, all of our, even though we might be just swinging our arms, it is not just the arms. We're using the torso, we're using our hip, we are focusing on the balance, our posture, our alignment. So we're working with the entire body in every move and posture. So when you're working with the entire body, we are smoothing the flow of the prana or the energy or the chi through these nadis or channels or shrotas. That is what traditionally we can explain, that it gives you the good health. So the mental well-being, the physical well-being. So sorting out the physical localized issues like frozen shoulder and back pain is one half of the story. But deeper systems, like I said, the hormonal system, we are not directly working with the uterus per se, but we are working with the entire system, including the uterus. So especially because we are using our hips a lot, we work and focus on the hips a lot, your uterus is automatically taken care of. All of your internal organs, including the uterus and the ovaries and the reproductive system, in men the testicles, is automatically taken care of. So when we are moving it and keeping the energy flowing, so it is a, traditionally speaking, stagnation which causes an issue, a health issue, an ache, a pain, any malfunction in any part of the body is generically, very simply said, is because of a stagnation in that channel or in that organ. And when we move the way we move with Meipadam or Karlakattai, using the Karlakattai, we are smoothing the flow. We are letting the energy flow. It's like we're taking the kink from the pipe. If we have a long pipe and if there's a bit of a blockage, it sort of trickles after that blockage, or it doesn't move a flow at all. So by taking the kink off the pipe, we are getting the water or the energy flowing smoothly, which is what gives the overall benefit. So may it be your menstrual health. So once when we focus on balancing the hormones, whatever impact the imbalanced hormones have, so all of them will eventually start falling in place. So it would be irresponsible of me to say, oh, it will sort your PCOD overnight and it will sort your hormones overnight. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it will help in that direction. You will have to do the diet, you have to do the lifestyle, the supplements, the herbs, whatever else you would need to support your hormonal system to get the best ultimate result. But this is another huge tool in your toolkit to head you in that direction. So overall, whatever the menstrual health, all of it eases out and comes into play, and follows the normal rhythms that it is meant to follow. So that was my long windy answer to the question you asked in one line. Hope that sort of makes sense and adds up.
Yeah, I mean, you rightly said, that there is no conclusive evidence that the practice of Meipadam, or actually the practice of any exercise for that matter, can
Yeah.
cure can cure any menstrual health problems that one has. What I have found interesting, in terms of Meipadam helping with our especially reproductive health organs and just all the systems and organs in the lower part of the body is we do a lot of movements. There is a lot of floor work we are doing. So we are shifting from, Vajrasan, then in Sukhasan, then standing on the knees,
Mm.
then, sitting like how we sit in butterfly pose or lying down in the stomach. So there is like lot of work we are doing on the floor,
Mm.
and which is very simple. And again, there is a lot of rotation, so working on the spine, even on the floor, and that kind of puts pressure also in the lower part of the body, and that helps majorly to activate these the energy for these organs, as you also said correctly. Right, and which is why I think we have noticed that many women give this feedback and share their experience that they benefit majorly from starting the practice of Meipadam. But then I also want to mention one thing here, that the good thing that happens is once you get into a habit of doing, like once you get into one good habit, is that you slowly start becoming more disciplined, and you start taking care of other things in your life, like your sleep and your diet, and just overall, keeping yourself stress free, having some more slowly, including or starting some more good habits. So that also results. So it's whenever, and this is for everyone who's watching, whenever you see anyone saying that it was because of May Padam solely that they got rid of their menstrual health issues, it was this ripple effect. It was this nice trickling waterfall, which once they started with Meipadam practice, then they started taking care of their diet, they started taking care of other things in their life which needed attention. And that's how, these problems got solved. But also, having said that, one more important and interesting thing is, as you start going back on these good habits, like as you start, just when you start feeling good, and then you start doing your Maypadam, and start taking care of your health, and you just start going back on these, following these good habits, then all the symptoms will come back. That's how it is. That's how
That's a
the
very
body
important point to
works.
highlight. Yeah. Very true.
Right. Yeah. But talking about, let's say, I think it's very important for women to understand all these things when they are young. as early as possible, because the result of not paying attention to all these issues, like premenstrual symptoms, or the all the severe symptoms during menstrual cycle, is that as we start to age and as we start to going towards premenopausal or menopausal stage of life, that's when all the hell breaks down, right? And we have normalized that, saying that it happens to everyone, so that's how it's supposed to be, when it's actually so almost very unkind thing to say to
Yeah,
ourselves,
actually, very
right?
true. Yes, yes, absolutely, very true. It is rather unkind on anybody. It's a natural process, and it shouldn't be so hard on anyone, on you or on others. So, like you say, once the focus on self care comes into perspective, and you are connected with your body, with your breath, and all of that, start thinking and focusing on your body, and everything else falls into place. Even the menopause, as you say, is should not be a tedious process, should not be a drawn out, oh, it's killing me sort of process. The hot flushes are killing me, and this is killing me, lack of sleep, mood. Nothing should be messed up. That is not normal menopause. You can balance all of this out with taking care of yourself. And again, it all, like you rightly say, comes back to focusing and caring for yourself. Be kind and gentle with yourself, and that will eventually pay you in leaps and bounds. um,
Yes, so, Rupa, what would you like to say to young girls who are watching this, or their parents who are watching this, who would like to explore Meipadam as one of the tools to improve the menstrual health of their daughters, let's say.
yeah. So one fundamental thing is to want to take control of your own body. I think a lot of people like to pawn it off and give it to the gynac, I see, and give it to the other physician, I see. No, you take control of your body. You understand your system. You understand what a period is. The levels in estrogen and the progesterone, the changes in that is what is giving you the period. So understanding your body. Oh, no, no, it's too scientific. No, it isn't. These days there is absolutely no excuse. There is so much resource available which really keep it and layman friendly. Anybody with zero science background can also understand it. So there is absolutely no excuse. I wouldn't buy that at all. So the first and foremost for parents and kids is to take back control of their body and want to connect and understand their systems and body. And as you start focusing it, it is an amazing journey of self discovery of how fascinating your body is if you start looking into it. So once you know what it is meant to be, then you can focus at aim towards that. At this point, people don't even know how it is meant to be and what it is meant to do. So once that awareness comes in, then you can pick the tool, the tools that will work for you as a tool. Not everything works for everybody. I'm not saying Meipadam is the go-to for everyone. It might work for the majority, it may not work for some, which is perfectly fine, but figure it out. I would say the top priority is to figure out what works for you, what systems you want to pursue, what works for your lifestyle and diet. That understanding and that journey is the biggest benefit that you can, the biggest gift you can give yourself. So all of them, parents, if parents do it, kids will follow suit. So I think it is more
Right.
responsible. It's rather than talk about it, oh, need to take care of yourself, need to take care of yourself. How much are parents taking care of themselves? So kids learn way more from action and what they see rather than what they hear. So that self love and that kindness to yourself has to start from the elders in the household. And then it will sort of trickle to the kids, and they are in the right exposure to start doing it themselves. So that is the foremost I would suggest, to understand what is happening and then try Meipadam, see how it works for you, but give it some time. It is not an overnight process or a 1 week journey. It's a lifelong journey. So you keep trying it, give it a few months. If it doesn't work, pick something else, but get on the journey would be my top tip I would suggest anybody and everybody. Don't you think that is the
Right.
start for your journey and my journey and everybody else's?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think that's why, keeping this in mind, that how important it is to learn about yourself and how easy it is. It's not like a rocket science that is going to go over your head once you start learning it. I think keeping this in mind, that's why we have included these very simple lessons in our upcoming course also, Meividya, right? Which we are starting for teenage girls. So, understanding about menstrual health and including some Ayurveda self-care tips which will help them. And then, of course, there is practice of Meipadam. So, like a deeper understanding of your body and mind. So, yeah, but as you said correctly, that it is going to be hard for parents to convince their kids if they are not practicing themselves, right? So, I really urge and insist all the parents who want their kids to get into these kind of good habits is that first you start with yourself and then see how eager your kids become to do what you are doing when they see you changing and you improving, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so
And it is
having
never too late either. It's not that, oh, I have not done it, and how. So even your kids might be in teens, and you haven't done it for this long. Start the journey together. You and your kid can start on the journey together, and both of you can benefit. So the
right.
kids will love that too, I'm sure.
Exactly, exactly, and having I mean, this session is about Maypadam and better menstrual health, but we know that as you start practicing Maypadam, because of all the fitness parameters that it helps with, so the good effects of it is not going to be limited to getting rid of PCOD or reducing those premenstrual symptoms, but it's actually going to go on a deeper level, and you'll see your health and fitness improving in multiple aspects,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mentally, emotionally, physically, even spiritually. When we do the flow of it, once you get into the flow of it and do it for long enough, it becomes very deeply meditative. So it affects and benefits your spiritual health too.
Right,
Uh,
right. Yeah. So, okay. So, any last words, Rupa?
no, that's about it. No, people, I suggest you come to understand what Meividya is and how your teens could benefit from it. We have our link, I'm sure. Trisha will talk more about it. But yeah, this is a very important call of the times. The way the fertility the rates have been dropping in these days, and people have sort of think IVF is the only way to go in the future. There is still loads you can do to take control of your life. So that's what I think.
Exactly, exactly. Um, and understanding that normalizing of dysfunction is becoming very normal. It's becoming very casual.
Yeah.
Okay, and the bad consequences of it, actually not even bad. That would be like understatement, but like really severe consequences of it. You start seeing as you start to age, as you cross 30, not even 40 nowadays. As you cross 30, right? So that's why, as Rupa said, we have created this very simple 3 month course for teenage girls where they'll get to learn about their body, where they'll get to practice Meipadam, Karlakattai, where they'll get to understand themselves through our traditional knowledge systems. And we are starting this from June. If you have any questions about this topic or otherwise the program itself, feel free to comment on this video wherever you're watching it, or even our contact details are there. Get in touch with us. And that's it. That's it from me also. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon with one more interesting topic on Meipadam and Karlakattai. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Rupa. Thanks.
Thanks, Risha, and see you all, everyone, soon again. And take care of yourself.